Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. The day I left for the National, I got a notification there was a box on the way from Upper Deck. And so I told my wife to please bring the box in, not leave it out in the rain or anything like that. So some nice hobby boxes from Upper Deck. I was able to thank Upper Deck Paul in person at the show for his courtesy, and I delighted in opening them when I got back. Great assortment of boxes. Thanks Upper Deck, thanks Topps, thanks Panini, Heritage Auctions, Huggins and Scott Auctions, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. Opening is the way everybody seems to get in the hobby. I went to the store and bought a nickel pack and opened it up, and I was hooked. I'm already hooked on Upper Deck, but it's nice to know what they are producing. I think hockey is a little bit different. I want to bring a little bit of a theme to this, is that Upper Deck has some advantages of going deep with hockey and not being spread thin over multiple licenses, even though I think they'd like to have other licenses, and they do have other licenses, but of baseball, football, and basketball will be residing with Fanatics in about a year. That transition will be complete. So the first box, I'll do them in price order. First was the 25-26 Upper Deck MVP hockey. That I think that's really the first one of the year. And so they're back on track with releasing cards. In fact, this is really early because they do not have stats on the back, the full season stats. They have a blurb, 3 lines of here's something that happened in the first of the year in December, January, maybe February. But it is a new crop of rookies, and it's only $60 a box. So this is like buying a bottle of wine or a bottle of scotch or whiskey or something, where you may want to leave it in the bottle, leave it in the cask. We don't know. The exciting thing is when somebody hits in hockey, if they're a young player and get a chance, they can have a 20-year career and go on and be very popular. But we don't know who's going to hit. So I'm just going to hold on to these, and I'll set them aside, and I'll review them in a few months after the season gets started when I'm paying attention to hockey more. Right now, it's just the touting. And so the whole idea of prospecting, you're just going by hype. And I am not a big fan of going out and buying rookies in any sport unless you feel like you have an edge. In hockey, if you saw him play or have some ability to be a general manager. But so many of the last few years in hockey, where hockey is different, is that there's maybe Wemby was a little bit like this. LeBron turned out a little bit like that. Luka. But at the start, it wasn't one rookie against all the others. And in hockey, we had with Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard. It was that rookie against all the others. I think I'm going to hold on to my group and have a learning experience. See, $60 a box, just released end of July, as you would expect, 20 packs of 8. My main criticism, too many mascot cards, mascot battles and mascot stickers. Too much mascot for me. If you're going to throw non-players in there, I love veteran players and things like that. If, as happens sometimes, if somebody said, you know what, if you don't like the box, we'll give you half your money back, or we'll give you a credit for the next box. I may have done that here because the next box is Credentials. Credentials is a brand I've liked in the past. So 24-25 Credentials. That's Macklin Celebrini, 8 packs of 6, $125 a box, released 2 or 3 weeks ago. And because it's a 24-25 set, they've got, I think, up to 4 years of stats on the back. I really like full stats. I like if they had a 20-year career. On the other hand, there's form and function. I want the utility of understanding the player, that he had a long career. It will say 16 years. It'll give the totals, but I like seeing a long line of stats. And some of the brands do that. Each brand is a little bit different. It's not a design flaw, but when I looked at the lower right corner of the base cards, they look dinged to me, and it's not. There's a change in the coloration from a lighter snow white to a silver white. And I thought, did I ding like I did last week? No, I did not. On magnification, it's not a problem. My autograph card was John Brancy. I had to look him up, and I think he's not going to go on my wall. He's not a player. He's an opera singer. That's interesting, but I think somebody would have been disappointed if that was their autograph. The retro ticket card came in a little penny sleeve. And I did get Alex Ovechkin, so I like that, but I'm wondering why necessarily sleeve it unless it has some oily residue or something they thought would be a problem. But anyway, Credentials, good, but not great. So I would probably still say, if you don't want that, you could trade that in for a box of Upper Deck ice. And I probably would say, okay, give me the ice. I'll try the ice, sight unseen. And the ice was not a whole lot difference in price, $145, where I saw, been out since mid-June. They had one of the cards in there. I'm a sucker for this. It's the check inside cards where you pull the strip and you pull out the little tiny card in there. I just cannot leave a box unopened. I can't leave a pack unopened. I can't leave a card unshredded or slit. And so I did, and I didn't get something great, but it'd beat me up if I hadn't done that. Lots of color in this, the base cards as well as the parallels, and I'm just struck that there's blind people in the hobby. As I mentioned in my national episode, there's people that have different sensory challenges, but if you're colorblind, and I realize the fix, if you're colorblind, these Ray-Ban Metas, which are smart glasses, AI-enabled, you can just look at the card and say, Meta, what color is this? And they say it's blue, or it's green, or it's purple. It's like it whispers in your ear. So I'm having fun trying these. When I opened the 12 packs of 6 cards, pretty routine. You get 4 base cards and then 2 better cards. I got 10 decoys in my 12 packs and 2 of the thicker stock cards. And I'm wondering what people do with all their decoys. I guess you could turn them into art cards because it's like a blank canvas. So I like that. I wasn't in love with it, but definitely the best one so far. Upper Deck Ice. Next was Parkhurst Champions 24-25. The distinction here is they had a separate included extra pack retro of older inspired retro 53-54 Parkhurst. I'm old enough to remember Parkhurst originally, and they've kept it alive. But Parkhurst, to me, connotes older and more vintage. $150 a box, released in mid-June, 20 packs of 8 cards, plus the 21st pack, which I really like that. And the question in my mind that we had, again, just Sports Card Insight with the price guide analysis we had to do, we had to figure out not so much exactly, but you had to get a handle on how much of the value in the box was coming from something like that, this special insert, this extra pack. Is that 10%? It's 5% of the cards, but is it 20% of the value? I don't know. It seems to me they would be a better value because they're a little tougher. I thought the silvers were too easy, but then I thought, again, hockey is different. If you have inserts and parallels that are not as difficult to complete, I think that's consistent with what Upper Deck did even in the 90s. In the 90s, you had a tale of two companies. You had Fleer that had impossible inserts, very difficult to find, case hits at best, as well as parallels that were impossible to complete. Although I think Nat Turner's coming close. That's crazy. Upper Deck, meanwhile, was doing inserts that were more reasonable. You could complete the set, which I think hockey collectors like. Inserts, you could complete those. So fast forward, Upper Deck bought Fleer. Fleer went out of business, and Upper Deck has been catering to collectors and having a sense of what collectors want. And I think hockey collectors, again, a little bit different. They're a little more complete set oriented, a little bit of wanting to get all the young guns. In fact, it's one of the few sports where base rookie cards are still held in some level of esteem. There were 3-line blurbs. There's a look at the back of these cards, and I'm wondering, I don't have a problem if they were done by AI. They could have been. There's nothing super clever or amazing about it. It's just showing a relevant sentence or two. Okay, so that was, I think, a keeper, except I already opened the next one. So I think I like the next one better, and that's the O-Pee-Chee Platinum, 24-25, 12 packs of 12. So it's a bigger stack of cards. Their cards are a little bit thicker. I have a discussion with JJ over at BGS, and I asked him, never got a black 10. How could I get a black 10? He said, you got to start with a brand new set, carefully opening it, and it's got to be premium stock and shiny. He didn't tell me to wipe it with a cloth or anything like that, but he said, you got to start the modern cards. You're never going to get a black label 10 for anything unless it's just straight out of the pack, perfectly centered and perfect corners, all that stuff. And that is possible on a set like this. So that's part of the appeal. Released in early July, 12 packs of 12, $230, so a little bit more, but I felt like I got more value. A lot of color, a lot of parallels. This felt a little bit more like a Panini product with the color and the parallels and some serial numbering in there. Unlike Panini, they have odds on the back of the pack, on the back of the box. Topps does that. Upper Deck does that. So that's O-Pee-Chee, part of the Upper Deck family. Panini doesn't. They just tell you how many are produced. So many dollar box worthy cards. As I went to the National, I didn't see very many hockey, but you can get an idea of what brands are produced such that the cards find their way into the dollar boxes. And I picked up a few, not as much hockey as the others. Again, it's different. That's why I really want to go to Toronto, and I will do that one of these days. My passport's ready, all that, but you just don't find a good selection of hockey this side of the border. And even in Chicago, we just had the Blackhawks for so long. Again, that's a keeper for me. And last, and here's the challenge. I'll just say this in a way that's not intended to be hurtful, but this is the problem. They also sent me a box of the Cup for 23-24. So it's been out a while, a couple months, but it's more than $1,000 a box, 14.25 at last look. Again, I won't say it's made for breaking, but when the boxes get at $500 and up, whatever the number is, for $250, let's say, I could have gone in with 5 other guys and said, we'll put together, that'll be $1,500, and we'll each take one of the cards. And we're going to get good cards. It's like the repacking people. There are good cards in there. The Cup has good cards. They're all good cards. In fact, if I stacked up all the cards I got out of these 6 boxes, the 20 best cards, 6 of them are from the Cup. So all 6 of them are some of the better cards that I got. They're all great. I haven't looked them up to see, but they're just great looking cards, as you would expect. There's a no purchase necessary offer on that, and I'm going to do that one. That's one I will do because I think you're not able to do it too many times, but that's one. This is the best set. So would I have traded these other boxes before I opened them or after I opened them in advance for opening and having the Cup box sight unseen? And the answer is probably yes. That is the modern day dilemma of the hobby, is that collectors are marketed and just human nature encouraged to want to get, just like you want to get the best house you can afford, you want to get the best box you can afford. And again, as long as you're not borrowing money or putting yourself in a bad situation, but most people would have preferred that. And I did too. I'm not atypical. I love these cards that have many layers, that are works of art, the RPAs. And that's my best chance for getting an RPA. There's no RPAs, period, in the dollar box. And so I'm very well versed for some of the lower demand kinds of things that are even low supply. But the better cards, that's not my lane anymore. It's a box and a box and a box, all of which are sealed. And then when you get to the final reveal, there's no pack, there's no wrapper, just the cards are sitting there. And it was fun. So I felt like I was trying to look at this as well, let's make a deal thing, where Monty Hall is saying, okay, you have this prize. Now, do you want to trade that in for door number 2? And I don't have to do that. In fact, one of the reasons I do the dollar boxes is I don't have to make trade-offs. I listen with interest these other podcasts where Adam Gray, who's got his top 100, and Jeremy Lee, who was consolidating. And I don't really want to do that. I want to sell cards when I feel like it. I want to buy cards when I feel like it. And if you stay in a lane where you're within your budget, then I can do that as I want to. And so the Cup, thank you. The Cup is one that I'm getting a chance to see and vicariously live like perhaps I used to, because I used to buy big cards back before I did the price guides. I was an aggressive collector, and I still have a lot of that stuff. One of these days, I'll sell that. And that was part of my national agenda, is to go around and talk to some people for what the future might hold for me. And I hope it's in the distant future, but eventually. Thank you, Upper Deck. Again, I think they are priced appropriately. None of them were bad deals, but I just like some of them better than others. And again, hockey is different. The hockey collectors are passionate. They're more complete set oriented. They're just really into it. When I go on ComC, I see great representation to fill out sets and to find cards there, seemingly more so than the other sports, even though I don't think they're produced as much. And it might be because ComC has an office in Canada. At any rate, thanks, Upper Deck. Thanks, everybody else. I'll be back on Monday, I guess, with another episode. So happy collecting. The man in the house of cards is doing